And I think something, we talked about a lot, in the planning and the strategizing and the energy, even just on a script level, is so much of this film is about what's happening between these people. It's about the relationships. It's about the energy in between. And, you want to feel both the people on the screen to feel that, you know what I mean? So it's not just someone's shoulder and you're flipping back coverage. You're feeling both the performers, at the same time.
Yeah. Definitely I'd kind of forgotten until Ian, the cinematographer, reminded me, but that everything that got shot in Emma and Alex's loft, was done with no power source in the house.
Oh yeah,
so we had 2 days there, I think. We rehearsed the big scene between Liza and Ray, and just a little aside there. After that first rehearsal, the whole set stopped and didn't do anything, and it was because our first big beat, Paco, was crying a little. She'd forgotten what was going on and was really moved, and he came back to life real quick, but he was so moved by the scene that he stopped the
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. Crazy. Anyway, so we lit it, plugged in a couple lights, and blew everything. And so
it looks so beautiful, but you didn't know
there was lights literally set up outside building, and through reflectors, they were lighting the inside of the
power went out, right?
Yes, because we were in the building and we blew a fuse, and that was that. But on a movie on our size, it's not okay, well, somebody will come fix it, we'll come back tomorrow. It's you keep shooting, we couldn't even let the person come and fix it until we're done and out of there, So we totally, and I think and again, with the scene that that's in the backyard, towards the ending, again, that was something where with Rachel and Giacomo, where there's just that's such a long scene, and it's not even that there's a much camera movement, but you want to have the audience in that moment, and Rachel, oh my goodness, you're so fantastic in that scene. It's just that's the moment where we finally we truly meet Claire there,
I was Team Claire the entire time I watched the movie. I was Emma. But that's just I think the whole thing about this movie that's so great is whatever your experience with relationships are, you project onto what you see. And so I feel that's why I was more Team Claire. But
I felt like we had a moment where we just really fangirled on each other because we didn't really work together.
Yeah.
Outside of baseball,
other than the baseball. And so it wasn't until I saw, I think it was one of the first or second cuts that you sent me. And I was just blown away that you did. And I remember, either I reached out to Johnny or I said it to, I think it was Johnny. And then he was like, oh, she feels the same way about you. But one of the things I will say I really appreciated about this experience, and it's kudos to you, Natty, was you really allowed there to be air in every scene. You uplifted the moments in between the words that were said, which I think nowadays is quite rare. And it was just sort of one of my favorite parts of it, but definitely from an acting perspective.
Totally.
Unique experience.
Well, I think that's something that I feel, a lot of us who work in TV, you know what I mean? And it's when you're working in TV, there isn't that time, It's just it's
no, they're that was great. Can you do it triple time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And when I take a beat, I meant a millisecond.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And it was fun, and Addie and Adelaide, we got to sort of play the voices of reason a bit, here in the film. And, and be the friends to our friends, that was great. And, I love your scenes in this. And again, so excited that you were able to be there. The scene at the bar is one of my faves. I love that scene.
So Australian, I love it.
Yeah.
So Australian, yeah. Had to really lean into it.
I mean, I feel like you probably don't very often get to work in your natural accent, right?
Never.
Yeah, never.
I like my first acting job, and I sound really Australian today because I've been talking to my family a lot the last couple of days. But yeah, it's only the first sort of proper acting job I did on Neighbours that I got to like use my act. I mean, I didn't know any other accents at 16, and now I never get it looking. Nobody cares. It's British or American. I'm like, yeah, right.
You know, we were so excited at it, and it obviously brings such a uniquely you flavor, and also like I think that our experiences of our generation, you know, we come from such diverse cities, and like, you know, Toronto, LA, New York, all these cities are places where like, you know, people are coming from all over the place, you know, and it's we don't need to explain why you have that accent, you know what I mean? It's like I feel like the audience just, you know, signs on for it.
Well, Toronto is such a diverse city as well. It makes sense that there would be all sorts.
Totally. We got some more audience questions here. Mariam S., I hope I'm saying your name correct. Thank you for your question. What's special about the story this movie has? So, like, what's special in terms of, you know, what sort of, you know, connects you to your characters? And actually sort of, you know, connects to Caitlin S.'s question in terms of, did any of you feel personally connected to your characters from past experiences? And I think that's, you know, those are sort of combined in terms of the connection that we had to it and what we feel about it and all of that. So does anyone want to take that away? I mean, again, and it's not about, you know, it's just sort of in terms of not just your own experiences, but, you know, friends or people that you've been through, you know what I mean? You know, I think that we've all sort of been these characters in different moments in our lives, or been the friend to these characters, you know, and I think that there's something very relatable about them.
I mean, I think a better question is like, does anyone here not relate to any of the characters? Because
Totally.
I read the script, I was like, I've been
On some level, yeah. And I think that's kind of, to give credit where it's due, I think that's sort of the nature of Natty's writing, because I saw Natty's movie Edging, which when I heard he was writing another movie, I was like, hello. Hello. I mean, Natty, you're just like you write these characters that are just like painfully relatable. Like I've seen people who have been going through similar things. Like you really do see and write right to the heart of like the painful reality of how complex people in relationships are, and how there really isn't. I mean, particularly in Acquainted, I don't think there is a right or a wrong or a black or a white. It's just, you know, young adults. They're in their mid to late 20s, but as someone who only just turned 30, I'm still a child. Like, as young adults, it's so complicated and so confusing, and when it's difficult to be in any kind of relationship ever, or to be friends with someone going through relationship problems. Like, it is always a complex, it's always a complex sort of like minefield that you're navigating at all times, and sometimes it gets easier and sometimes it's not navigable anymore. And I feel like you see to the heart of that, and really you hit right to the bone every time. And whether you've been through a similar experience or not, you're really good at it. You're really good, mate. You're really good. Really good.
I think that's all in the performances that you guys gave. I think that, like, you know, having actors that are willing to expose these vulnerabilities and like delve into the mistakes that they may have made, or the mistakes that they might have wanted to make, or like reframing things that someone told them was a mistake, I think that's really rare. And it's the thing I'm proudest of when I watch the movie, is all of your performances, you know?
Well, I see both sides of it. I mean, the performances are truly incredible, you know, from all of you guys, and then additionally, like, you know, I think as actors, it all starts with the writing. You know what I mean? It all starts right there. It's like I literally, when I first read the script, I hit you up. I was like, what are you doing? Like, no, like right now. Like, we need to talk about this now. Like this isn't common. This isn't something that happens all the time. Like this is authentic. This feels real. Like you have such a defined voice, and I think that was so inspiring to us and so welcoming and such a great opportunity to get to collaborate with,
Johnny was so enthusiastic about the screenplay that he let me move in with him after I broke up with my ex, and just went on a vicious bender. And he was like, "Are you okay? Do you want to come to the movie?" And I was like, "No, I gotta go to work." Like,
well, totally. I mean, I think I think it's important to note, this movie is a work of fiction that's based in real circumstances, and you and I met. Because at the time, Liza and your ex, who was part of the inspiration of Claire, were working at a restaurant together, and so
she was my manager.
She was your manager, and and
and Ray worked there too.
I got the job because you got me that job, and that was the first of 7 restaurant jobs that I've been fired from.
Oh my gosh, do you remember when you broke the tray of glass?
Did I do that on accident or on purpose? I can't remember.
Also, our makeup artist
Yeah.
Oh my
God, this needs to be talked about.
Hired me on the restaurant job, so it's very. And Natty used to go to the restaurant and sit at the bar and right, and that's how we all met each other.
Exactly.
You were right.
Oh wow. Natty and I were the boyfriends at the bar.
Stephanie Hooker also worked at Joe.
Oh my God! What? I didn't realize she did as well. Well, and Kat Weber.
The name of the bar has been said.
Yeah, it's
okay. We couldn't hear you very well. I think everybody missed it.
Yeah.
Well, but that was the thing, and when you sent me the script, again, it's based in truth, but is a fictitious story and fictitious events, but you sent me the script, and you and your ex were still together, and Claire works at a restaurant, and Drew is a writer, and they own a house together, and so I was like, we need to talk about this movie, but also, are you okay? Like, is everything okay? And that house, I mean, I think that house plays a character, in the film, and we shot at the house that Natty, and his ex bought, and Natty lives in, and that was Drew's house. And Giacomo, while playing Drew, was staying in the basement apartment of that house. It's like
while another producer stayed upstairs.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually have a question. Remember how you painted your dining room? Kind of a cool color, which was all part of sort of the look of the set and whatnot and the tone, but is it still that color? I was thinking about that the other day. I don't know why.
No. Yellow now. Like, it's very yellow? Yeah. I knocked down all the walls. After this movie, I was like, I think we've burned the set. Like, we need to do.
And now it's a new location, so we're good.
Exactly. So for the trilogy.
We've got one last question from the audience before we get into some giveaways and stuff. So this one I want to sort of have everybody answer individually. And this one's from Miriam P. What was the most emotional scene? And I think that let's give ourselves the opportunity to say it both from a filming perspective or from a viewing perspective. I'll start first. I think for me, it's flip-flopped a couple of times. It's the 2 breakup scenes. Well, not breakup, but it's like it's the Ray and Alex and Emma breakup scene, and then also the backyard scene. Those are sort of at different times. I feel like alternated for me as the most emotionally effective. For me.
Yeah, I think mine was at the end with Drew when they say "I loved you" to each other. Yeah, because I think when she breaks up with Alex, it's like that's super emotional as well, but it's a decision she's made, and that she's sticking to. And then at the end there, it was just like, I don't know, she's just off to be her own thing.
Totally.
Bye, men.
Making peace with sort of like a part of your life.
Yeah.
Addie, do you want to go next? I know you got to head out at a certain point.
I mean, Sherry didn't really have that much in the way of emotional scenes. She was just kicking. She was kicking it. She was having a good time. She was doling out advice like it was her job, and also doling out attitude wherever the occasion presented.
Both valid.
That's Daddy.
Yeah. So too much of a stretch from who I am as a person.
I have to take as an audience member, like, this is kind of meta, and I've got to like come up with it as I'm saying it, but as an audience member inside of the medium, right? So we were the day we were shooting Rachel and Giacomo having the fight about the table being moved into the wrong spot, or he just flipped out for seemingly no reason about the table being moved, or the couch or something was being moved, the checkers table on top of it, and wardrobe and a bunch of departments were just kind of shoved upstairs and be quiet, we're shooting. And I must have had to shoot something else that day, so I'm just waiting. And Rachel came in and she wasn't unfriendly. She was just like very serious about her work. And I came from a show where it was children playing and having the time of our life. So like my experience in acting really was having a great time. And I saw someone come in like serious about the work, and just listening to that breakdown that she has when he storms off and she like is confused about like how the hell did we end up in this spot, like that to me happened. Yeah, it was an emotional thing. Obviously the scene is emotional and it's beautiful, but it was an emotional thing for me, like foundationally, I think, as an actor, without fawning too hard over you, Rachel. For me to be like, oh, this is important and it deserves attention and some dedication and stuff, and I didn't have the visual side of it because we're just upstairs being quiet while you're and we're just listening so intently to like every breath you're taking and like what you're doing to rev up before the take goes again, and how it's affecting you after they've called cut and you're still like going through it, and it's like oh this isn't just a lot of fun. I mean, I think probably while you're in something like that is fun too.
Yeah,
it's a masochistic way, but like
actors,
that was really foundational for me.
Yeah. Now we definitely have to hang out in Vancouver.
For sure.
Before we move on, Addie, I know that you gotta depart right at 7. Thank you so much for joining us. We love you. Thank you for being.
Thank you for having me. I'm sorry I can't stay longer. I love you guys.
Oh my God.
Everybody's in the chat. Find, download Acquainted. It'll rip your heart out, but in like the best way.
In the best way. Yeah, you'll laugh, you'll cry. Yeah, you'll call some friends.
That's very true.
Love you, Addie.
Buddy.
Rachel, Giacomo, did you want to take this question next?
Yeah, the most heartbreaking scene for me to watch, and honestly, I was really blown away by it, was the Alex and Emma breakup. And I know, Liza, you talked about having 2 different versions of it, but the one that was used, I just thought was so beautifully done, so nuanced in the way that you both did it. I think that was probably one of my favorite scenes of the movie. I also really liked the one also with the 2 of you, when you're outside discussing about whether or not you got the grant to go study. I really loved that scene as well, and you come out in your overalls. That's really probably one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah.
For the same reason, but also just the way that it was shot, I just thought it was really beautiful. And definitely the most emotional scene was Giacomo R scene.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But the thing that was the most difficult about that scene for me, and I think it harkens back to Ray, what you were saying, was there was a different type of pressure doing this film because I was doing it for people that I actually I loved that were my friends, that I wanted to do them proud. And I was really nervous for that last scene with you, Giacomo, because I felt like it was really, really important. And I just remember when it was done feeling quite proud of it. And so thank you, I guess, both of you, Natty and Giacomo, for giving me that experience.
You killed it. That's amazing.
Heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
I remember seeing Natty's face and being like, done. No.
That, to sort of affect, like, there was a moment where it was like, we were resetting for that scene, and like the wine reset.
Oh my God.
And properly.
Oh, I
and
heard
the
about that.
wine got all over your shirt, and it murdered the shirt, and like, this is a shirt that Rachel, it was her personal shirt that she brought. It's not like we had.
It was like my favorite shirt at the time. I was like, no.
So even with our tight schedule, there was even less time to film that, and even still, like, there was even much debate, because it's that two shot the whole time. There was two takes that we were sort of constantly back and forth about for different reasons, and and then it was just like that was the one,
That was the hardest choice in the movie.
Yeah,
I completely agree. As a producer as well, completely agree.
Yeah.
Watching, there was two takes, and I remember watching them both back, and we're like, Rachel's so brilliant in both. They're just completely different roller coasters of emotion. They're just different, and not one's better, or And it was like, I remember like watching both of those takes over and over again with you and with some other producers, and those were like, I really don't. It's just like a different story. It's not bad or good it was just like so hard.
You guys should do a re-release, like a Bandersnatch.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but that's, and that was the moment where we were really, we really leaned on
That was
our
hard, man.
Editor who we mentioned before, Kat Weber. Kat is just so